It is difficult to do the experience justice. It was a spontaneous NDLE in 1992. It fits the criteria of a peak mystical experience. There were 4 stages that I will call space, void, union, and Kundalini. It was 1991 and I had been very ill and hospitalized for several months with severe treatment-resistant clinical depression. One night I woke up on the ward to the sound of terrible screaming. I was very scared, but I had to go and see what it was. I made my way towards the noise and found that a new schizophrenic patient was attacking a young female nurse. I intervened to stop the assault. Then once the danger was past, the experience began. Suddenly I found the normal outside world was gone. My awareness was in outer space. I could see stars and galaxies in all directions, like those 360 photos they do nowadays, but seeing in all directions simultaneously. This was interesting but not unpleasant at first. Then things took a turn for the worse. All the stars, galaxies, space and the universe seemed to collapse inwards towards me. I felt a tremendous pressure and terrible guilt and shame. At that moment I believed something that I had done had somehow destroyed everything in the universe. Remember, this was in the setting of severe depression where people are kind of tough on themselves. The crushing pressure and despair grew and grew until suddenly bang, I was gone. My awareness had jumped into a new space. It was a vast dark black empty void. This was terrifying. I thought that I had died, but that, terribly, I was still aware within the nothingness. I was terrified that I or my awareness would be stuck in this void, alone, forever. The blackness continued for a while. It's hard to say how long because the experience of time seemed different to normal. So, I'm in this empty void, terrified and surrounded by black nothingness. Then, I saw something. I saw, or more like became aware of, a small brilliant spark of light in the blackness. I moved towards the light and it seemed to get bigger, or closer. It was a very bright golden opalescent light that did not dazzle. It spoke to me, not in words but directly into my awareness. It made me undeniably aware that this light is what we really are, souls. It reassured me that everything was okay and it wrapped me in the purest, deepest, most blissful love I have ever felt. It was the most beautiful feeling and such a total relief from the terror I had been feeling, both in the void and the outer world, for months beforehand. There was no doubting what it told me. It was like total conviction, total reassurance, and total knowing. I didn't have any questions. It seemed like I understood everything before I needed to ask. I spent some time there with the light. Time was being weird, so it felt like forever. Then I was made aware I could stay or go back. For some reason that I don't really understand, I opted to come back, and just like that in an instant, I was back in my body, back in the room, back in normal perception. But as I returned to my body, something else happened. It was like I felt the energy field within my body rotating once, clockwise if seen from above. When it came back to rest, I could no longer feel the substance of my physical presence, like I was a ghost with no physical form. That stayed with me for about a week, but then faded. I slowly recovered from my illness. I believe the experience of being with the light was the point at which I turned the corner to recovery. It's 30 years ago and I'm reasonably normal nowadays, face with tears of joy, face rolling on the floor laughing. It was the most profound thing I have ever experienced. Anyways, that's my story. I hope I did it some justice. Slightly smiling face.